Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Fastic Feel Good Podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Joe Trippi.
You know, I had been testing at my blood before I started with Fastic, and it was always in the 200s, 222. Anything in the high hundreds is bad. And within my first week on the 16-hour with Fastic, it had gone to 159. By the end of the month, it was at 115. So somehow within that first month, I had gotten to that, where you would absolutely love to be if you've been diagnosed with diabetes.
For those who don't know, Joe is an American political strategist and famously managed Howard Dean's presidential campaign in 2004. He's the author of The Revolution Will Not Be Televised and host of That Trippy Show, his podcast that focuses on explaining politics in a simple way. Joe started intermittent fasting with Fastic a little over 3 months ago and has completely changed his blood sugar levels, what is obviously mind-blowing. So today we're going to talk about his experience living with diabetes on the campaign trail and how he's now managed to make fasting fit his life and optimize his health. So if you've got a demanding work schedule and want to try fasting, listen in. Welcome to the show, Joe. Glad to have you here. Hope you're doing well.
Great to be with you, Phil. Really excited to be talking to you.
Great. Yeah, me too. It's a pleasure to have you here. And I'm sure that your story will inspire people from the Fastic family. Really glad to have you here, like I said before. So let's get right to it. Can't wait to hear your story. But first of all, what would be really interesting for me and for the Fastic family is, what was it like being diagnosed with diabetes? And how did that impact your life? I guess that must have been a shock at first, right?
Well, it was a shock, and the worst thing about it was because of the lifestyle of somebody involved in politics. Always on the campaign trail, grabbing fast food, pizza, a hamburger, on the run. Driving through the drive-through before you go to the next campaign event was insanity for somebody who has diabetes. It's not beneficial. Doctor after doctor told me to change my job, to stop working, but I was working in politics because I thought I want to change the world. I want to make a difference in people's lives. And here they were telling me, no, you can't. You stop doing that. And there really didn't seem to be. Any diabetic can tell you it's not easy to control diabetes. I think for most people, let alone if you have that kind of lifestyle. So it was something I've fought for decades now, and then in the Dean campaign, I totally lost control of the diabetes. I mean, it was a presidential campaign. I was on the road constantly. I was only getting 2 hours of sleep every night.
Oh, okay.
I used to think you couldn't fall asleep on your feet, like that's crazy. How can someone fall asleep while they're standing? Until one day in the Dean campaign, I was ordering a pastry at the, which you're not supposed to do when you have diabetes, but I was ordering a pastry at the local coffee shop in the morning and collapsed, broke my ribs because I fell asleep on my feet. So it's been a struggle, and I've always been looking to try to find a way to deal with it, to get it under control. And so I was always looking for a way to do better and to stay able to work in politics and make a difference for people. So I saw a tweet from Fastic, and it said something that made sense to me about if you give your body a longer time between eating, it has time to deal with what you've done, with what you've ingested and what you've eaten. And anyway, so I did research. I read a little bit more, and the more I read on how what Fastic was talking about, long period between your last meal and your first one in the morning, giving your body time to absorb and rest and not have to deal with the constant inflow of food, made complete sense to me. So I made myself a pledge that I would try Fastic for 30 days and do the 16-hour fast. And at the end of 30 days, I would reconsider, but I was going to give it the 30 days. And so I did that. But my blood sugar almost immediately, when I was taking it with my meter, the first, I had been testing it, my blood before I started with Fastic, and it was always in the 200s, 222, a very high number, over 200. I mean, over anything in the high hundreds is bad, but over 200, wow. really wow. Bad. And within my first week on the 16-hour with Fastic, it had gone to 159 on average for 7 days, and the next 7 days it was at 129, and for by the end of the month it was at 115, and 116 is when if you have 116 or higher, you've got diabetes. Under 116, the doctors would say you're pre-diabetic. So somehow within that first month, I'd gotten to that, to a number that was quite close to, where you would absolutely love to be if you've been diagnosed with diabetes. I still do work out. I always have, in terms of running, jogging a little. Great. But I'm just sort of adding these two. Sort of some of the healthy habits that were suggested really helped too. And then the next thing was the 30 days were up. And I decided, okay, I'm going to keep doing this for 60 more days, but I'm going to go to 15 hours. Worked perfect. It was easy. I mean, absolutely easy. And my blood sugar continued to lower and become stable. And the reason I chose that is because the A1C test is a 90-day test. I mean, you have to, you take it after 90 days. And so I wanted to be on Fastic, on the program, on thinking about it, on the process for 90 days, so that when I took the test and could see the look on my doctor's face, I
bet he was surprised.
So I just got so anyway, at the end of the 90 days, I don't know, it was probably about, I can't remember, 75 days. And I realized that this was something that more people who had diabetes should consider doing. It's not that it's easy, but it's the easiest thing that I've tried. I mean, in terms of, you have to have some discipline. You have to be willing to do the 16 hours, the 15 hours. But, it wasn't like I was eating a lot less. I was eating very similarly, but in a shorter period, and it worked. And so I think about 75 days in, I just decided to tweet that people should consider fasting and try and look at the Fastic app, because my blood sugar is now normal. It had totally reversed. And I think that's how we connected to start talking about the podcast.
Definitely. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm really happy for you that you obviously got out of that and had the discipline and the courage to try it. And like you said, it probably just takes your body a bit of time to adapt, right? And then it gets easier. And even
Also, it makes my sleep has gotten a lot better, a lot better. And then I did finally about 10 days ago hit the 90-day mark and went in to get my blood all tested for everything. I mean, the A1C for diabetes, my cholesterol, and all those things. So my A1C had dropped to 5.9.
Wow.
And that's under 6. I mean, most diabetics are thrilled if they can just get it to 7, anywhere near 7 or just under 7. They'd be dancing, and their doctors would be telling them, "Wow, you did a great job." Mine sent me a note that just said, "This is awesome. It's a magnificent report." So now I tell my wife I'm Joe the Magnificent Trippy because of my latest report. But my doctor is still like, what have you done? You know, kind of thing, because it was probably the best health report of tests that I've had, you know, in 30 years. So my doctor and I now have a conference next week. And I'm hoping that when we now look at the results, because the results only came back a few days ago, but now that we know where things are and that the problem has actually now reversed itself in a way that it may mean that they reduce those dosages or hopefully maybe even can eliminate one or two of the drugs that I take. So I'm very excited for that meeting and very grateful that I stumbled on for you guys tweeting that let me stumble on that you existed, because that's how I found out. And then, like I said, I'm very happy that hopefully that others saw my tweet and watch this and decide to take the chance.
Oh, that's great. I'm crossing the fingers for you for next week, but I'm sure it will go fine.
I think too, it's like just checking with the app every morning and putting my weight in and things like that. It helps you with the discipline. It helps you with I think the most important thing for me was it just made me conscious of what I was doing.
Yeah.
You know,
you get more mindfulness, right?
Yeah,
and I think that's the beauty, and I can just reassure you, you're doing it exactly the right way, because it's a lifestyle. And if you go out with friends, for example, you're invited to a dinner, go out and enjoy, and then you can carry on again tomorrow. And that's the beauty behind fasting or intermittent fasting, especially. It's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. With diets, then you're restricted, and you cannot. It's more like just having a schedule where you eat, having an eating window and a fasting window.
Yeah, no, and the other thing that mattered a lot, and I didn't realize it, was water. I drink far more water now than I did before, because now I'm conscious of it. You know, it's the mindfulness thing.
At the end of the day, you need to listen to your body, and it's very individual. So I can just give you a thumbs up for that. I'm proud of what you've accomplished, and that we could support you with that as well. So that's just amazing. And I guess, like, if you look back to the campaign trail when you had diabetes, how was that for you, like, compared to now? Like, that must have been a total different feeling and way of life, right?
Yeah, it is. But the interesting thing is, you know, the hardest thing when I was younger in politics, even when you were, I'm diabetic, I'm on the campaign trail, I want to try to be good. It was impossible. I mean, nobody served salads at the airport or anything. I mean, in other words, it was a different world in a lot of ways. I mean, it was like the only thing, and the one thing that's changed pretty dramatically, I think, in the last 6 years or so, is you can. There are enough places now where you could, if you have this, this sort of eating period and fasting period, and you're on the run, you do have options now that I didn't have before.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I'm sure you're inspiring and changing or giving people hope out there for politics, but you're definitely giving people inspiration as well with this story too, because I think especially in America, 1 out of 10 people are diabetic, right? And 1 of 3 is pre-diabetic. So there's so many people out there who can just get inspired by you, and that's just what I find so incredible, especially that you've got such a demanding, well, I wouldn't even call it work, it's your passion, right? But I can just see how I know how much I work, but I can't even imagine how hard it must be to fly from state to state the whole time. And you said yourself at the beginning only slept for 2 hours. That's I've got a lot of respect for it. It's just when the health obviously then goes down, that's obviously when it gets critical, right? And
I would tell everybody, look, if I can do this, I hesitate to say something like this because everybody has their own struggle and their own health issues, but it's possible. This is really doable.
And you've made it. Like I'm really, like I said, crossing my fingers for you for next week. Maybe you've got some advice as well for some members out of the Fastic family who have demanding jobs like yourself too. How could they start fasting, or what advice could you give to them?
I would advise them to try. Right. I mean, that a lot of this is if you try to do it, you may find out, like I did, that it's not that as big a deal as you think. And the other thing I think is most people don't realize. Look, they may not. It's not like most of us don't go to sleep somewhere around 10 or 11 o'clock and don't wake up or eat until 7 or 8, 6 or 7 or 8. So there's already 10, 11 hours, 10 hours that you're already doing this. So my advice would be to make yourself a commitment for a period of time, to give your body that break. And see how you feel. Because the other thing is, after the first week, I was already feeling, wow, I have all this energy. I mean, once you experience the benefits of it, it makes it, it's not a sacrifice anymore.
That's great advice. And I think it's totally correct and right what you say. Like, give it a try for yourself and see how your body feels. And you will see after a while if it does something for you or if it doesn't. I mean, obviously you have incredible results. They're just amazing. But I think just for our listeners out there as well, like, don't rush into anything. Yeah. Like you said yourself, give it time, give your body the chance to adapt. It's not a race. It's a journey you're taking. But I find it's a very good approach to test it for yourself. You're not doing it for anyone else, but for yourself.
This is, like I said, why didn't I discover this, years ago? So,
you gained something for yourself. I'm really thrilled talking to you, and you can just feel that it has done so much for you. So thank you so much for taking the time today as well and sharing that. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm convinced that you've definitely inspired some of our members of the community, probably those as well who have hard times and a demanding job too, but just to give it a try. And thanks. Well, you've been a wonderful guest.
Well, I hope can help to spread the word a little bit here, and thank you.
All right. Goodbye, Joe, and thanks for taking the time again. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Phil, and thank you and your team for helping me. I appreciate it. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Enjoy your day. And for all of our listeners today, if you're interested in learning more about Joe Trippy or his podcast, That Trippy Show, be sure to check out the link in the description box below. Thanks for tuning in, and see you guys next time on the Fastic Feel Good Podcast.